Did I get it ready for you? I straightened everything out. Had that big speaker moved. Good morning. You folks seem to be mastering last week's message that was on fellowship with each other. You seem to have that down pat. It is still my favorite part of gathering on Sunday, is the gathering itself. The gathering of everyone together and watching them greet each other and smile. I'm going to make the announcements brief because there's a lot. So instead of making them long because there's a lot, I'm going to make them brief because there's a lot. This piece of paper that is with your bulletin and your bulletin itself has a lot of stuff in it about the month of April. There are a lot of different things happening in the month of April that don't normally happen. So have a look for yourselves. Because if I say it up here, you're going to hear it, sort of, but it's not going to sink in. So have a look at this and this to see what is up and coming that's going to be affecting you in the near future. I received a phone call this morning asking us to pray for Florence Britton. Donnie and Kathy are not here right now. They've gone to the hospital. She is gone, I believe, to the Yarmouth Hospital, I think. And they asked if we would pray in here this morning for Kathy's mom, so we're going to. Lord, I pray that you would give that family peace. I pray that you would guide the doctor's hands and whoever it is that looks at her. I pray that you would draw to them, that they would be able to draw together as a family in this moment, in these moments. And Lord, that you would be glorified through their conversation. May they gather together in prayer down there at the hospital for their mom. Give them guidance in their coming days. Praise your name, Lord. Amen. So the short part of announcements, just have a look at your bulletin. There's lots going on for the month of April. We'll call our stewards up this morning for this morning's offerings. I posted something on Facebook this morning. I said if you read this by 10 to 11, you still have a chance to zip to church somewhere. If you get caught for speeding, tell the police you know me. It'll handle everything. And I understand someone did get stopped today, so I hope you had read that and had the chance to say, I know Tracy. Did it get you out of it? You can tell me the story at the end of the service, whether that got you out of it or not. It probably did not. Lord, I thank you that we're able to gather in your house. Lord, I pray that we're about to receive, Lord, that we would use it for the furtherance of your kingdom. Lord, may you help us to do good things with what you give to us. Praise your name, Lord. Amen.
Tracy back at his seat, so it's okay. Good to have everyone here this morning, and as we get into the service, we're going to be singing this song at Calvary, but then we're going to be singing a couple of choruses. And the last part of it is that one, I will call upon the Lord. And you repeat it, I will call upon the Lord. So we're going to do that even though we haven't practiced it. See how it works out, okay? We practiced it a little bit, but we're going to jump out on limb and see how it goes. So let's have you stand as we begin our service, okay?
Years are spent in vanity and pride, caring not my Lord was crucified, knowing not it was for me He died on Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free, pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary. By God's word at last my sin I learned. Then I tremble at the law I spurn, till my guilty soul imploring turn to Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free, pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary. Now I've given to Jesus everything. Now I gladly own Him as my King. Now my raptured soul can only sing of Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free, pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary. Oh, the love that drew salvation's land. Oh, the grace that brought it down to man. Oh, the mighty gulf that God did span at Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free, pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary. Mercy there was great and grace was free, pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary.
We're going to keep you standing. It's good to have Kenny back. I see he was watching to see if we was going to go back on that chorus again. He's been laid up with his back out and muscles out, whatever, and at least he's here this morning and he's got a smile on. So good to have him. And each of them, the Graves are back. They've been away for a week or more, I guess at a funeral, and so not a happy time necessarily, but I'm sure there is times of happiness in it. So anyway, good to have them here and anyone who's visiting. And we're going to do a couple of choruses, and this is the one I mentioned. After we do this first one, the next one is a repeating, and hopefully we'll be able to make it through that, okay?
I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. No one go with me, still I will follow. Do not go with me,
it. We maybe done that a little different than what you're used to hearing it, but we got through it anyway. Send the Light, that's our next song. I might just put a word in here. A lot of you know, I guess we've even asked for prayer here for David Mullen. When I say David Mullen, we call him David Lawrence, some of us from Weaver Settlement. And he's actually doing quite a bit better. Most of you, I think, know he had both legs off, up, probably that far above the knees. And when we were up there a week ago, or last Monday, I guess I'm taking a few minutes here, but his surgery was on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's 5 days. He didn't have any dialysis because of his surgery. They didn't do him on the Friday. And then Monday, his blood pressure or something was down. It looks like. So he went 5 days, and when we were there, he was very weak and didn't look all that good, but still, we had prayer with him and talked with him, and he would whisper. He said, "I can't hear everything you're saying." But anyway, I guess my thought, and you would say, "Oh, ye of little faith," but I said, well, if he gets home, I said to some people down here that was asking about him, it will be a miracle. Well, anyway, we were talking to his daughter-in-law last night, granddaughter last night, and she said he is doing great. She said he was setting up, he ate a great big breakfast, and they have got a food tube or something in because his body hasn't been used to much food lately, and he just seems to be doing a lot better. So he was asking about this little scooter that his family has got together and what for him, so he's looking forward to getting home and being able to use that. So that's a positive note. So thank you for your prayers, and most of all, thank God that he is still on the throne and he answers prayer and he can still do what the doctors can't. So praise him. Send the Light.
There's a call comes ringing for the rest this week. Send the light, send the light. There are souls to rescue, there are souls to save. Send the light, send the light, send the light. The blessed gospel, light.
They were just playing it on the piano for a moment. I was out in the foyer here, getting myself a cup of coffee. And I decided I was going to sing along to what was playing. Lori hooked Terry up so he could go all across the church there. And the speakers up in the foyer here said, "If you're going to join us, Tracy, come on in." I was going to call you, but I didn't because you were preaching this morning and I didn't know if you want to do both. I think I could have survived both, but didn't know that at the time, so I didn't come in and join Terry in that this morning. Because I've been carrying a cold for a week or so and thought maybe that would be kind of a squeaky, squirrely thing by the time I get done singing a few songs. But I seem to survive it from over here, so I may have from up here, but I just didn't want to put myself in the midst of that in case it didn't work out. I'm going to start out with prayer. In this prayer, good man. I hate it when you can't think of a certain word. Anybody ever do that? You get ready to say something and you can't think of something, like the name of an umbrella, and you go, "Oh, it's that thing, you know, that you pop up and you put over your head." There's no way that umbrella can come to you. Well, I can't think of the word I want to say right now. But revival. We pray for revival to be in our community. And Terry says, round about this area, I think is the way lots of times the sentence is placed when Terry's praying. Lord, that you be round about this area and up and down these roads and in and out of these homes, that God would make a change. But it's us. When I'm praying this morning and I ask for that revival, it's us and other believers that are going to be that revival. Every revival in history can be brought back to one person, then a group, then a bunch of people, then all of the believers, and then it floods through everywhere. So when we pray for revival, be careful what prayer you are praying, that God might go, "Oh, I want to use you then." And be aware of where God may be asking to use you in that prayer of revival. Lord, I thank you for this morning. I thank you that you've gathered us into your house. Thank you for the beautiful looking weather outside. Lord, and I thank you again for the cold, that it keeps some things away from our area, that if we were always warm, they would be here. So I thank you for that blessing of the cold outside. Thank you that we have a nice place to come and gather to. But Lord, that this week, as we go out from here, you would help us to be your hands and feet. And by that, I mean, may you guide us to do your work and where to go to do your work. Lord, if you're not prompting our hearts like you did for Moses with a burning bush, providing that for us so we know specifically what to do, may we just place ourselves around people that are working for you. Give us guidance and give me guidance for this message and what I'm about to say. May you help us to see you in our daily walk as we just go about life. Thank you, Lord. Amen. I don't have it up here this morning. I didn't prepare a slide for that, but it's 2 Timothy. We're going to 2 Timothy chapter 2. For the men, it's 2 Timothy chapter 2. They told us over at school, and I've heard it multiple times since. You've got to repeat it the second time for those that are going to sit there after you say it and go, "He said somewhere, where did he say?" And they'll turn to the person beside them, and I am that person. You can say 2 Timothy chapter 2, and I will go 2 Timothy, and I'll start on there. But that's it. And then I can say chapter 2, and I do this to my wife, and she'll go, "Where's the scripture reading of the Daily Bread?" I'll go, 2 Timothy. And what? Chapter 2. What verse? And she's waiting there. She's not even looking yet. And she's like, "I want all the information, but I'm giving it out as I would like to take it." 2 Timothy chapter 2, starting at verse 14. So we're going to start this morning at verse 14 and have a look at this passage of Scripture. This was nice that Sean laid this out for me. Sean did not write the sermons, but he had a sermon series that he had started, right? worshiping through, and then whatever it is we discussed that week. A couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was, what was the first one? We had music second.
Worship.
Yeah, worshiping through. Yes, worshiping through. Music was second. First one was giving. You got the hard one over with first. I'm glad you can leave you with giving. That's just like, it's a harder thing to talk about. Then last week was worshiping through fellowship. It's gathering together and sharing with each other our problems, our burdens, also God's stories of what He's done in our lives and that excitement that we can pass on to each other. Today, it's our walk with God. Like, what are we doing in our walk with God? That's why the slides on here this morning that I had prompting me were just questions about how is your walk with God, Leah? Have you seen God work in your life? I posted a couple things on Facebook this week, just questions asking things like that. Like, if I asked you to tell me a story of God working in your life, do you need to dig way to the past to tell me a story? Do you need to go, oh man, and then tell me a story from 1993? Or can you tell me a story of last week? And hopefully, there's stories all along the way. And some people commented on there and said, oh no, there's stories all along the way of where I can see God working in my life. But if we can't, it's a hindrance that we've placed there by not seeking Him. He's always there. So if He's always there and we don't see Him, who's not looking? Is it Him or us? So it's us. So Sean gave me a passage of Scripture, so that makes it easy. I didn't even need to dig for the passage of Scripture. He gives me this. But He gives me the topic. We're going to talk about God, and then we're going to talk about it out of 2 Timothy. That's what He gives to me. So we start in verse 14. This is a letter from Paul to Timothy. Timothy's a young man getting ready to lead a church, or he's leading a church. He's got his people gathered around him, his other fellow believers, and Timothy would be sharing with them. And this is Paul's, like, a letter of encouragement, or telling Timothy what to be doing in that. And Paul's saying to him in verse 14, remind everyone about these things and command them in God's presence to stop fighting over words. Such arguments are useless, and they can ruin those who hear them. Dropping stuff out of my book. I don't know if everyone else does that, but I got little bookmarks stuck in there everywhere. I don't even know what they mean anymore, but I got to keep them there for some reason. And they fall out once in a while. Remind everyone about these things and command them in God's presence to stop fighting over words. Such arguments are useless. You got to read back. He gave me to start at 14. But if you go, what on earth is he reminding them about? That's in verse 11, 12, and 13. So Paul is telling them, this is a trustworthy saying. If we die with Him, meaning Jesus, if we die with Him, we also live with Him. If we endure hardship, we will reign with Him. If we deny Him, He will deny us. If we are unfaithful, He remains faithful, for He cannot deny who He is. So that is what he was reminding them about, was their walk with Him. Like if we believe as followers of Christ, as Christians, that we die with Him, like we died to our old life. That's what Scripture says. We die to our old life, and we're given a new life. We're given a new life with Christ. So we also live with Him. If we endure hardship, we'll reign with Him. We're enduring hardship now. We talked about this down in the youth group. I don't know if you noticed this, but life didn't just get fluffy when you became a Christian. It feels good. I had that new car feeling, way better than the new car feeling, but you know what I mean by that, you feel so free when you become a Christian. It's like, I get what they mean by this. But then life comes, and it's still hard. So let them know that there's hardship, but we're going to endure it, and we're going to reign with Him in that. But then, when we become unfaithful, if we deny Him, He will deny us. If we're unfaithful, He remains faithful, for He cannot deny who He is. It's us that move away. And in verse 14, when Paul's writing to him, he says, command them in God's presence to stop fighting over words. We fight over stuff. I don't mean squabbling in here over how we govern stuff. That's not where I'm going with it at this point. I'm talking about little weird things of the way that somebody may believe that don't matter in kingdom issues, but we take it in public to discuss it. I'll go sit down with Norman at Tim Hortons, and he'll say something about whether we're eternally secure or not, and somebody else will kick in on something else. Do you know how goofy that looks in public? They go, the Christians don't even know what they believe. Like, they don't notice a whole lot of your conversation, but they watch us and go, good land, they don't even know what we believe. Or I may say something from up here this morning that you do not agree with. But if you thought about it, it wouldn't be a kingdom issue. But we take it home to the person that's home that is not a believer, that doesn't enter this building, and we squabble about it and go, pastor in church said this, and drive me nuts. And then you go, next Sunday you go, you coming? And they go, I don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. It's true. People go home and they talk about it in ways that they go, or you invite your co-workers, like, you hate church. Why on earth am I going there? It's just, that's what I think he's talking about here. It's just, stop it. Cut it out. Paul's going, just tell them to stop. I doubt Paul even had to be to the church to write them that letter. I don't think Paul went there and talked to everyone and went, oh, you've got people that do that. I think he just had to write a letter, because everybody does that. I think I could write that letter to this church and send it down the road, and they go, he's been here. When did he sneak in? It's just something we do, but we don't think about it. Cut it out. Verse 15. Work hard so you can present yourself to God and receive his approval. This is him talking to Timothy again. Work hard so you can present yourself to God and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed, and who correctly explains the word of truth. Integrity. A person of integrity is not a person that just looks good in certain moments. And he's talking about that path to this pastor here. A pastor over at Kingswood put this in a way that I went, oh, it gave me my aha moment for integrity. If you saw me in here, then you see me in town, then you see me somewhere else. Is that the same person, or are you surprised when you see them? I talk differently when I'm in public than I do here. And are there times that it's wrong? Yes. But I hope that if you stayed there for more than the 2 seconds that you heard some foolishness that shouldn't have come out of my lips, and it shouldn't, that you can watch my life and go, okay, that guy does have integrity. It is the same person here that he was at the hockey game, that he is wherever. Like your grandmother showed up and watched you do something. Is she going to go, boy, wow, that is not that guy? Like, there are people that live lives totally different outside of here, but then they come here and we look this way, and then we go home and we look this way. And they got to adjust remember their stories, their lies they told. They got to remember how they talk here. Like, oh yeah, I don't swear around my wife. Like, I don't do that, but I do this here. Like, my foolishness that is out in public is the same as home. My kids could watch me home or watch me out in public and go, okay, that's the same guy. So the same people that see me at work and go, good man, that's like you're a pastor? Like, I'm different. But my kids see that same person home. Amen. And is this something that I need to work on? Yes. But God is working on me in it. Verse 16 to 18. Avoid worthless, foolish talk. He's going back into that again. Avoid worthless, foolish talk that only leads to more godless behavior. This kind of talk spreads like a cancer. In the case of Hymenaeus and Philetus, they have left the path of truth. Is this touching my face now, or doing something strange? Or is it okay? Turn it a little bit. Is that better? I hate these things. I'm going to try it some week. They have left the path of truth, claiming that the resurrection of the dead has already occurred, In this way, they've turned some people away from the faith. That's why I talk the way he's talking here about improper talk. What do we got? Is that okay? It's okay. The way that we talk, he's referring to them here and saying, they're saying that the resurrection of the dead has already occurred. It's something within Scripture or something biblical, the way that the people were talking out in public that was leading people astray. We got to keep those people in check. But it's the way that we do that out in public that just cut it out. Verse 19. But God's truth stands firm like a foundation. With this inscription, the Lord knows those who are his, and all who belong to the Lord must turn from evil. Verse 20. In a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver, and some are made with wood and clay. The expensive utensils are used on special occasions, and the cheap ones for everyday use. This got brought up in a sermon I did last year. Does anyone have sanctified pottery at their house? Like, that is only for special moments. These plates are shiny, they got a gold rim on the edge of them. You've got silverware in a box that's some wooden box somewhere that you open up, and a song comes out of it when you open it up, and that's for Christmas, so you can stick that fork in the turkey, and the turkey tastes better when you eat it off of that. We're set aside like that for God. When God looks at our lives, those that are believers and followers of Him, we are set aside that way. We are made holy. We are sanctified. We are set aside for God's glory and God's things. It's how are we going to do something with it, or what are we going to do with it? And sometimes we do nothing with it. In verse 21, if you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the Master's use for every good work. You don't know what's going to prompt your heart to go, and you're going to want to do something for it. Next week, I have a lady named Lisa Gervais, French lady, coming in to share here. She started a ministry over in Sussex, New Brunswick, and was working there for a while, and now she's working out of Truro. And she just does stuff with the community, with some teens, that you're going to go, that's quite simple. But I like the way that she does that. I like the heart behind it. And hopefully, I do not mean by bringing her here that we're going to take all of this on. But I'm doing it next week so that some of us will have an aha moment and go, well, we can do that. I can do that. Or I can help someone do that. And hopefully we take on part of it, or maybe none of it. But it makes an aha moment in our minds, and we go, how am I going to work along with God? Now, what happens with us as believers is we sit and we watch the person beside us. And so when we see the person beside us and we see what they do, we measure ourselves by that, right? And we either, I did this really awful in my teen years. I was like, I'm as good as that teen that says they're a believer, so therefore I'm good. Or we watch someone else in church and go, well, they all do this much work, so if I do this much work, I'm okay. Now, has anyone ever been sitting in a car? I was sitting at Value Foods in my car. I don't remember which of my kids were there, but I think Jody McCullough was in my car in the passenger seat. And we're sitting at Value Foods with the car bumped up like this. And I put my car in reverse, and the car in front of me backs up. Right? They're the ones that backed up. I didn't. And Jody went, that was weird. Like, it felt like we were going away, but it was that car. Have any of you ever had that feeling? And what do you do in that moment, right? You go, boom, and you hit the brakes, and you try to stop. Because they're like, they pulled away. They were in reverse, but so since I had put mine in reverse, and you know I was going to back up, it felt like we were, because the gap is leaving with this car in front of us. So you hit the brakes and you look somewhere. This is from Ravi Zacharias' illustration. He says you look somewhere to assure yourself that you are not moving. So you look at the store, or you line yourself up at the telephone pole and go, okay, is it me moving? Has this brake stopped me, or was it something else? But he said, could you imagine if when you looked to reassure yourself, even though your foot is on the brake, that the store still moved? Like you would go, oh. We need a foundation to ground ourselves in, is the reason why you look for that thing that's not moving. But as a society, all we watch is others around us to see where we should be or how we should be in our lives with Christ, when we should be aligning it with Christ and being in His Word, praying with Him, fellowshipping with Him, fasting with Him. When we went over fasting at Kingswood, when I was over there studying, I went, that's something I know people do, but it's something I don't do. And you'll see people fasting for Easter, and they'll go, oh, I gave up chocolate for 40 days. It's like, oh, good, it might be some punishment to you. But fasting was like, people just, they didn't eat. Because they wanted communion with God. They wanted God to know, like, I mean this, and it lets yourself know, I mean this. And fasting is something that draws us closer to Him. Prayer. Prayer can become so regular that we just throw one out there. We pray out loud as a family. Like, we get together and say something, and it becomes like, it's supposed to be spontaneous, but you know exactly what the other person is going to say out of being spontaneous. We just don't do it correctly. But we're called to do those things. We're called to be in His Word. And if we were in His Word, we'd be all right. We would be. And don't just pick and choose what you want to read. That's what happens to us, and it damages a lot of us, is how we pick through it and take what we want out of it. And it drives our convictions, right? We'll know that we really fully believe this. But without taking in all of Scripture and all of God, we don't act on our convictions out of love. Anyone, I was talking on Facebook this week to a gentleman, and I answered a question of his with 2 examples. Like, let's say someone is going through a divorce. I can walk up to them and go, that's biblically wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. That's my conviction. I believe that they shouldn't get divorced. Right? They got married under God, but they know in their mind that they get married under God, and do they want to get divorced? No. They're already broken. So I can come to them with my conviction and just tell them it's wrong and point it out to them. Or I can offer them love and come around them and go, you're going through a hard time right now. You and your wife, you can embrace your arm around them and offer them love in the fact that they're broken at this moment. Do they want to be in that situation? No. But you can offer them love out of it. And oftentimes, all we portray is our conviction in a broken manner, because we know we shouldn't do this. Next Tuesday, you come to my house. I won't be doing this, but you come to my house and you see me with a bottle of beer. And I'm standing on my deck. And you go, he's made some commitment as a pastor saying he wasn't going to do that. And your convictions are going to bother you, right? But if all you know is I shouldn't be doing that, and you come up to me and go, wrong, and you take off, versus, what are you doing? Like, what's going on, Pastor? Why? Sometimes we don't even take the time to ask a question out of love on what on earth are you doing with this bottle of beer in your hands? I walked into the Carlton store when I was pastoring in Yarmouth, and there was a gentleman of quite prestige in the church of Yarmouth standing there with 2 packs of beer in his hands, okay? And I came in as a pastor in their church, and he went, oh. And he kept the beer in his hands, and He couldn't go through the floor, but he wanted to. So I stood by him and I said, do you want me to help you carry one up to the cash? He said, I think I'll be okay. I said, if I carry one from here to the cash, though, if someone else comes through the door, you're not going to be seen. He went, no, okay. But that points out no illustration of anything other than humor. But I could have just went, wrong, and then left the place or paid for my gas. And that's often what we do, and that person would have crawled a hole. But we're friends today, I think. Maybe not after this. we're on video, and you had just to watch it, maybe not after this. But I know another gentleman that loves the church, but watches everything in it, and can only pick out what's wrong in it, and has no way to portray it. So he goes to his pastor and goes, "Youth's wrong! They do it like this. Singing's wrong! We do it like this. Other people want this. Greeting's wrong! We do it like that." And after a while you go, "Oh, he's coming." Like, you hide your head because that person's coming and you don't want to hear from them. There comes a time, whoops, I need my quote here for a moment. Conviction, unguarded by love, will make the possessor of them obnoxious, and the dogma you possess repulsive. You can't cut off a person's nose and offer them a rose to smell right after you do it. It doesn't work. I don't know if any of you have ever won an argument that as soon as somebody tells you their side of things, you go, "You're stupid." Here's how it is. I don't know if you've ever won an argument that way, but I'm willing to bet that you have not. And you have never seen one won that way either. Some will never know the love of Jesus until they see it reflected in someone else. Ravi, I listen to Ravi a lot, and how I prepare my sermons, not just by listening to him, but since I'm working in the Porter all week for Sandy and them, I have listening time. So I have more listening time than I have reading time. So it's a lot of podcasts that I'm going through stuff. And that's where I get some of these quotes from. I go, "Oh, I like that." Boom. Write it down. Go back to work. But oh yeah, that was where I was going with that. I lost my track. Oh, I'm so distracted. The youth love it. I'm telling the story and I go, "Ooh," and I go off down a rabbit trail, then hopefully I come back. So hopefully I'm coming back here in a second. Now, what I just did right there probably lost where I was going in a moment because I stopped to tell you that I do rabbit trail, right? There's 5 Gospels that most people live by. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and watching everybody else. I don't remember what the name was for the other one, but the other one is Christian, watching Christians' lives. And Nietzsche said that the Christian will need to look a whole lot more redeemed before I will look at the Redeemer. So that's our challenge and our call this week as we go out into work, is what do we look like as a Christian? If people watch us, like I told people they were welcome here this week, and I got a letter back saying, "Well, am I welcome?" And I said, "Well, yes, you're welcome." I can't help whether all of us are welcome in or not, but yes, anyone is welcome to enter through the back doors and to be in here. But as we go out as a congregation, there's people watching this on video this morning. Hi! Hopefully it stayed streaming this morning. Did it seem to stay streaming, Lori? Hi, those of you that made it through the whole thing. There are people that watch this. Last week I didn't put it on, and there were people that were like, you didn't put it on? But last week it worked good for the couple that did say it to me. Like, it was on fellowship. You should have been here. So take some of that. But if they watch, sometimes they can see us get up or walk across or whatever. They're like, well, that person goes to church. Did it ever surprise you that you found out a certain person was a Christian? Like, who would land you? Like, you invite them to church and they're like, I go to church. I'm a lay pastor. I preach sometimes. And you're like, ooh. I've met other people that I say to them, like, where is it that you go to church? And they say, I don't. And they live like an exemplary looking life. Then you go, you don't go to church? Like, how do you have... I know that people that don't go to church can have good values. I understand that. But it sometimes bewilders me. It's like, well, you seem like a church person. I don't know what you base your morality on if you don't believe in Christ. Like, what are you taking me back to base it off of? If you have no belief in a greater thing or something greater that we're living for. So remember as we go out this week, what Nietzsche said, that the Christian will need to look a whole lot more redeemed before I will look at their Redeemer. Lord, I thank you for this morning. Thank you that we're able to laugh. I thank you that we're able to have serious moments in your name. Lord, I thank you that you were able to give me enough guidance that I was able to say something. I pray that it stirs our hearts and our minds, and that we do become your hands and feet in our community. Thank you, Lord. Amen. I see you grinning. Okay, that's a good song.